Hello, I'm the Jolly Saver, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my emergency fund balance at the end of December 2024. So my emergency fund is split into two places. So one is premium bonds, which I'm going to chat about first, and the second is a savings account, which is easy access. So premium bonds, just as a bit of information here at the top for people who don't know what premium bonds are, they're a savings account that you put money into, and the interest paid is decided by a monthly prize draw. You buy £1 bonds, and each bond has an equal chance of winning. So the more bonds you buy, the more your chances improved. So the current odds of winning to one bond is 21,000 to 1. And yeah, I'm going to go through the figures. So I've only got the figures from September here, but basically what happened with my emergency fund was that with premium bonds, I had about £1,000 in, and then I had to take some money out, and then I've been building it up. And the end of November, I had £325 in, and that meant that my current probability of winning in a month with £325 is 2%, so that on average to win it would take me 65 months to win with a holding of £325. And December was a very exciting month because I had some extra money that came into my bank account from work. Well, it was November where I got backdated pay from work. I got paid at the end of November, so I could use that backdated pay to buy some premium bonds in December. So a bit of a spoiler that I've told you that it's been a good month, but yeah, I started with the £325, and then I thought with the backdated pay, what I'd do would be to buy premium bonds to get me up to that £1,000 balance. So I contributed £700. Did I win anything? So bearing in mind that you have to hold bonds for a month before they're eligible to win. So with the £325 that I was holding, I didn't win anything. But the final holding at the end of December was £1,025, which, you know, is getting me onto the same level that I was a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago. So yeah, really pleased with that. And the idea with this is that this is an emergency fund, so I'm trying to be better at building up pots of money for expected costs, and the idea will be that I'll only withdraw money from this emergency fund if it is an emergency, so i.e. I lose my job, or there's like a huge cost that I wasn't expecting. For example, maybe there's a big problem with my roof that I hadn't set money aside for. How has the probability of winning changed? So it's now increased to 5%. So on average, with £1,000 held, I should win one in every 20 months. It should take me 20 months to win on average. But the idea is I want to build this month on month and then increase my odds. Because at the moment I have never won on premium bonds. So it'd be really nice if 1 month when doing these videos, I could win at least something, even if it's like £25. I think that'd be really, really good. And, you know, I think people will have thoughts about, you know, how good of a, I don't want to say investment, because are they really investment, but how good of a product premium bonds are in terms of how much you win and the amount you win. But for me, really, it was the benefit for me of having premium bonds is that it creates a bit of friction for me getting the money out. So even though it is easy access and I can have the money out within a couple of days, there's still a bit of friction there. So it's not like my savings account, which I'm going to come on to, where I can just dip into that easily. So if I was in a shop, for example, and I wanted to spend money on a new TV, you know, I could easily take that out my savings account, and there's not that friction where I really need to have a sit and think about it, whereas I couldn't just take that money out of my premium bonds. So behaviourally, having something in a product where there's a bit of friction to get the money out is helpful for me. So my savings account, so this is easy access with an interest rate of just, I think it's 3 point something percent, I think. So the end of November, I had £1,000 in it. So started December with £1,000, contributed £10, didn't withdraw anything. So this is a really positive sign. I really want to just get, I withdrew £440 in October, and that was just due to poor budgeting. It wasn't for, well, it was for I shouldn't say it was poor budgeting, because it was for a house maintenance problem, which cost about £400 to fix. But so it was, yes, you could view it as an emergency, but actually I should have had a house maintenance fund set up, because I really want to be using these for the, it's really for me like a job loss fund. That's how I class this emergency fund, because I want to build a house maintenance fund to the side of it. And I know it's all kind of, I still didn't have to go into debt to pay for that problem with my flat. I managed to have money set aside, which I used in October, this £440. So I've got to try and see that as a success. The interest that accrued in December was £3. So the final balance was £1,019, which is good. I think for me, success on this is, am I contributing each month, and did I withdraw anything? And if I did withdraw something, was it a valid reason? And then the summary, so just bringing the premium bonds and savings accounts balances together. I had £1,300 in November. In December, we've talked about the £1,025 in premium bonds, £1,019 in the savings account, so an overall balance of £2,044. So yeah, I am thrilled that I've got £2,000 in an emergency fund. If you watch my other videos, you'll know that I have around £9,000 in a stocks and shares ISA for long-term investing, and I also overpay my mortgage. But really, I feel a lot of worry when I don't have an easily accessible emergency fund. Even though at the moment, the markets are up on my stocks and shares ISA, so if I did need to dip into that for an emergency, I wouldn't be realizing a loss, so to speak. There would be no negative repercussions at the moment, but the problem would be if the markets took a dip. I wouldn't really be wanting to sell my investments and realize a loss. Whereas the more cash I have in premium bonds and in a savings account, the more easy accessible kind of money I have, it means that if I do need, if I do have an emergency, then I'm not I don't know what the word is. I'm not selling it. I'm not selling investments at a loss, if so to speak. I'm not undoing my good work. So I think my goal for 2025 is emergency fund. If I could get it tattooed on my head or on my hands, so I remember. Well, probably my head's not a good idea, because even if I looked in the mirror, I wouldn't actually be able to read what it said. So maybe on my hands, if I could have a tattoo that said emergency fund when I'm gonna, use my watch to pay for something, or if I'm going to make a financial decision, that'd be really useful, because I think my reflection over the past year has always been that the time I feel most comfortable and worry-free in life is when I've got a pot of money as an emergency fund that's set aside, and then I know if I was to lose my job, could I survive for 6 months while I'm looking for another one? Those sort of questions. So I think my goal this year is to get an emergency fund of at least £6,000. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do past £6,000, so I don't know really if I want to concentrate on my spending pots. So for example, I might have a £6,000 emergency fund or job loss fund, I might want to call it, which to me is 6 months of necessary living expenses. That would mean that I would have a 6 month period where if I didn't have a job, I have 6 months to look for another job, and it's 6 months before I have to dip into my investments. So that would represent that. And but actually once I've got a £6,000, I might want to concentrate on like my house maintenance pot. So actually I might want to direct more money towards that, which then kind of prevents me having to unnecessarily dip into this job loss fund. Or I could just maybe contribute to both. I don't really know what the most efficient and helpful thing for me to do is at the moment. So, I'll leave the video there. As always, if you've got any comments, pop them down in the box down below. I love having chats with people about money and about behaviour and about seeing what people do and how people view things, because it does help. And even if you've got a very different view to me, I'm always happy to hear it, because I think I said it on a previous video. Sometimes it's not helpful when you put things if things are an echo chamber, because actually it's helpful to have other opinions, and then it helps me reflect on if what I'm doing is it helps us mull over my actions and saying, actually, is there another way I can maybe think about this situation? So yeah, pause there, and now next video I'll see you on, or you'll hear from me on, will be my financial freedom update, which I'll post at either be tomorrow or Thursday, so the end of this week. See you in the next video.